Seeing the headlines of this hour on VTV News. Promoting legislative cooperation between Vietnam, Laos and Cambodia. Later on, FDI capital disbursement reaches 5-year record high. And in our world news, tension escalates in the Middle East.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good afternoon. It is currently 3 p.m. local time and you're tuning in to 30 minutes of VTV News. I'm Lin Lei with the latest updates. Now, during his official visit to Laos for IPA 45, National Assembly Chairman Chen Thanh-man met with Lao National Assembly Chairman Sejsomphone Phongphihan and Cambodia National Assembly Chair Nguyen Sundari. The leaders highlighted the growing and meaningful cooperation among their national assemblies, with enhanced collaboration across various levels. They discussed sharing experiences in institutional development, policy and law formulation, and supporting government efforts in socio-economic development and national security. The three leaders agreed to enhance bilateral exchanges and maintain regular trilateral contacts, ensuring effective monitoring of signed cooperation agreements and promoting a peaceful, stable border. They also reaffirmed the importance of the Vietnam-Laos-Cambodia Development Triangle Cooperation Mechanism, which has yielded significant results over the past 25 years. The leaders pledged continued mutual support in international forums and effective implementation of existing cooperation mechanisms. The 10th National Congress of the Vietnam Fatherland Front, held over 2 days in the spirit of solidarity, democracy, innovation and creativity, concluded on Friday morning. The Congress elected 397 members to the VFF Central Committee for the 10th tenure from 2024 to 2029, including 67 to the Presidium. In addition to the President of the VFF Central Committee, it appointed 1 Vice President General Secretary, 2 full-time Vice Presidents, and 7 part-time Vice Presidents. Do Văn Chiến, Politburo Member, Secretary of the Party Central Committee, and President of the VFF Central Committee in the 9th tenure, will continue to hold the presidency in the 10th tenure. The Congress also called on Vietnamese people, both at home and abroad, to promote national unity and engage in community affairs, thereby building a strong foundation for a new era of development for Vietnam. According to the Ministry of Planning and Investment, Vietnam's total registered foreign direct investment, or FDI capital, in the past 9 months reached nearly $25 billion, or up 11.6% from last year. Notably, FDI disbursement has hit a record of $17.3 billion, the highest in 5 years, increasing nearly 9% year-on-year.
In Bắc Ninh province, a foreign company has built a factory that produces cooling equipment for computers, cars, and AI machines. The initial investment was $75 million USD. Due to favorable business conditions, the company now plans to nearly triple its investment.
We're proposing to increase our total investment capital to $200 million US. We selected this province for our investment because of its skilled workforce and strong infrastructure.
The rise in investment capital for numerous projects indicates growing foreign investor confidence in Vietnam's business climate. Over the past 9 months, Bắc Ninh province has led the nation in attracting $4.5 billion USD with investments in semiconductor and electronic energy projects.
Significant projects, such as Amcor in the semiconductor sector and Foxconn in electronics, indicate that investment capital has aligned with the province's strategic goals.
It is attracting FDI in the green space into Vietnam. So that's positive. Look, I think there's a number of things that Vietnam can do to attract not just green FDI, but broader, more FDI in general. I think it's around clarity of policy. I think it is speed of administrative processes. I think there has to be some regulation around this space.
The recent surge in FDI disbursement has driven growth in domestic production and business, creating jobs and boosting imports and exports. thus contributing to economic growth.
Exports have become a bright spot for the economy after the first 9 months of this year. The Ministry of Industry and Trade estimates total export value could reach $300 billion, a 16% increase from last year. Key categories such as computers and electronic components, textiles, and agricultural products are generating tens of billions of US dollars and showing growth rates of 10 to 30%.
Favorable market demand has driven pepper prices upward. According to the General Department of Customs, Vietnam's pepper exports surpassed $1 billion in the first 9 months, marking a 47% increase in value.
Vietnam is a major global supplier of food and spices and has significant potential. I think prices will fluctuate over the next 5 years.
The Vietnam Fruit and Vegetable Association reported record fruit and vegetable exports in the first 9 months, reaching about $5.6 billion, equal to last year's total.
Vietnam's turnover will reach $7 billion this year.
The textile and garment sector has generated over $32.4 billion, a 9% increase in the past 9 months. This company is expanding into Japan and the US, leading to a 20 to 25% rise in orders compared to last year.
We standardize processes, add machinery, and recruit short-term and temporary workers to boost the factory's production capacity.
VN Direct predicts a 15% rise in exports in the year's final months, with the US as Vietnam's main market.
The State Bank of Vietnam announced on Thursday the decision to compulsory transfer the Construction Bank to Vietcombank and Ocean Bank to the Military Bank. The objective of the compulsory transfer is to restore weak credit institutions to normal operation, overcome accumulated losses, comply with regulations on ensuring operational safety, and end special control.
After the compulsory transfer, Construction Bank and Ocean Bank will be commercial banks with 100% charter capital owned by Vietcombank and the Military Bank. All legal rights of depositors, rights and obligations of customers will be guaranteed in accordance with legal regulations.
Construction Bank will receive full financial support measures and mechanisms and strong support from the entire Vietcombank system. We will design the Construction Bank's operating model and legal form during the implementation of the compulsory transfer plan.
The forced transfer of a weak bank under special control is unprecedented. Therefore, challenges and difficulties are inevitable. However, with capacity, experience, solid foundation, and detailed plans, the transferee banks are confident in the transfer plan.
The compulsory transfer of a weak bank affirms our role and reputation in the system and also gives us new opportunities to expand our operations, especially in implementing new business models.
Based on legal provisions and monetary policy objectives, the State Bank will flexibly use management tools to ensure the system's security and safety and the rights of shareholders and depositors to implement the compulsory transfer plans successfully.
These are important results for the project to restructure credit institutions associated with bad debts. Deputy Prime Minister Hồ Đức Phước requested the transfer banks to implement the directions of State Bank properly and be ready to implement the goals set out in the project effectively.
Before we move on to the next part of the bulletin, let's have a look at the exchange rate in today's market. Coming up next on VTV News, community-based pearl farming model developed. And later on, Vietnam ranks among top 20 most loved tourist destinations globally. Welcome back to VTV News Live. Now on Thursday, Trong province completed a project to plant 13 hectares of mangrove forest in Vĩnh Châu town. This initiative is part of a broader campaign to plant trees in response to World Environment Day and aligns with the plan to plant 1 billion trees between 2021 to 2025. In total, 32,500 white mangrove trees have been planted and are now taking root in a coastal area of Lai Hoa Commune, Vĩnh Châu town. This region is particularly vulnerable to climate change. Local authorities are mobilizing all available resources to implement effective response measures, ensuring residents' living conditions and production, including the crucial task of planting mangroves to combat climate change. With the motto, "The station is home, the border is the homeland, and the ethnic communities are family," officers and soldiers of the Lai Châu Provincial Border Guard consistently assist ethnic communities in economic development and poverty reduction. Currently, the terraced fields of border communes buzz with activities as green uniformed soldiers help locals harvest their seasonal rice crop.
As the first rays of sunlight reached the mountain ranges, officers and soldiers from the Sila Low border station marched to the villages to assist with the rice harvest. The unit swiftly mobilizes its forces to cut, gather, and transport rice back to the villages.
Outside of training hours, I'm honored to be a part of the effort to help the people with their harvest. This meaningful action strengthens the bond between border guard forces and the people.
My family's is set to harvest our rice today, but we don't have enough manpower. Thankfully, the border guard soldiers are here to help.
Lai Châu province has 22 border communes adjacent to China. Due to the challenging terrain, most of the seasonal rice grows on steep terraced fields. Border guard officers and soldiers, alongside their patrol duties, help locals bring in the harvest to prevent potential weather-related damage. This effort not only highlights the spirit of Angkor soldiers, but also strengthens the unity between the border guard and border communities.
We send officers to help people harvest crops and rice and provide guidance on cultivation techniques, animal husbandry, crop restructuring, and income enhancement. By maintaining close ties with the people and villages, the people always have faith in the border guard and stand united with us to protect border sovereignty.
The support from border guard soldiers has motivated border communities to work harder and remain united in building and safeguarding the nation's sovereignty.
The aquaculture industry aims to expand marine farming to 280,000 hectares by 2025, with a projected output of 850,000 tons, an increase of 60,000 tons from last year. To diversify their customer base, South Central provinces are pursuing community-based pearl farming.
Natural pearl sources are nearly depleted. Meanwhile, the complexity of pearl cultivation techniques hinders widespread cultivation, despite their economic potential. Currently, only 1/3 of the pearl farming enterprises in Vân Phong Bay operate regularly.
Our company has established a network with fishermen to enhance pearl farming and increase production. However, the 2017 storm caused significant damage. We are now rebuilding and creating jobs for island residents.
In the South Central Coast region, pearls grown for 1 year typically measure 9 to 10 millimeters and yield nearly $11,900 per hectare annually. As a result, the pearl cultivation development project has been operating in Vân Phong Bay, Khánh Hòa province since 2021.
Experts assist people in creating livelihoods by raising and cultivating pearls for sale. The project will provide comprehensive knowledge, establishing a chain from breeding and raising to processing and marketing.
The initial step is to allocate seawaters to organizations and individuals. With today's technology, the open sea presents a promising environment for investment.
Experts recommend replicating the pearl farming model throughout the South Central Coast region. This approach boosts income for coastal residents, maximizes economic value, and aligns with policies aimed at reducing overexploitation. It also enhances aquaculture practices while protecting marine resources.
After 5 years of being damaged, the Vườn Chuối archaeological site in Lai Sa, Kim Trung, Hoài Đức District, Hanoi, has been excavated and preserved. On Friday morning, the results of the excavation were announced, revealing 60 excavation pits over an area of 6,000 square meters that began in March. Notably, 110 burial sites from the pre-Đông Sơn period, nearly 3,500 years ago, were discovered, along with cultural remains such as a system of post holes, indicating the residential structures of the Đông Sơn people. Other artifacts found include weapons, tools, and jewelry. These findings provide evidence of early human presence in Hanoi and shed light on the era of the Hùng Vương establishment of the nation. Experts and local authorities will soon discuss plans for preserving and relocating these artifacts. Recently, Hanoi has been working to establish its cuisine as a key tourist attraction. This effort stems from recognizing the importance of local cuisine as a tourism ambassador, beyond being mere eateries. Experts are encouraging future chefs to blend their skills with knowledge of traditional culinary practices, aiming to place Hanoi on the world's gastronomic map.
Hanoi food enthusiasts seeking to enjoy bún ốc nguội, cold snail noodle soup, can now visit a small alley in Theo district. Nguyen, with her decades-old food stall, preserves the dish's traditional essence. The delicate ceramic bowls, earthen jars for snail broth, and rustic coconut ladles all showcase the countryside's charm.
I always find myself yearning for Hanoi's rich traditional cuisine. The mere scent of perilla and pomelo is enough to evoke a powerful wave of nostalgia.
From street food to fine dining, artisans have creatively transformed many traditional dishes. Experts suggest that to make cuisine one of the capital's strengths, it's crucial to establish a network of artisans who understand the secrets of Hanoi's traditional recipes.
To truly elevate and promote our traditional cuisine, we must drawing upon the expertise of chefs and culinary artisans who not only have the skills but also a deep understanding of our culinary heritage.
Currently, training institutions are focusing on nurturing a new generation of chefs who embody the qualities of cultural ambassadors.
These individuals are gradually exploring the essence of Hanoi's cuisine, all while paving the way for the flavors of Hanoi to reach the world. In the near future, it will be the Gen Y and Gen Z talents who will be shaping the culinary identity of Hanoi.
As culinary ambassadors, their task goes beyond simply preparing delicious dishes. They also bear the responsibility of promoting the cultural and gastronomic heritage of Hanoi.
Experts also propose that Hanoi should view cuisine as a form of heritage, with a strategic approach to planning and investing in key culinary cultural products.
Many dining establishments offer tourists a basic culinary experience. But when we transform this into a culinary heritage journey, tourists will hear stories about the cultural and historical significance of the dishes and learn about the social and environmental responsibilities of the establishments themselves.
Cuisine has become a powerful tool to express Hanoi's cultural diversity, capable of evoking emotions and creating memorable experiences. The goal is to harness the essence of this culinary heritage and develop it into a cultural industry product.
Vietnam has secured a spot among the top 20 countries for global travelers, according to the recently released Condé Nast Traveler Reader's Choice Awards 2024. Recognized for its cultural diversity, Vietnam claimed the 7th position with an impressive score of 91.91 out of 100. The rankings are based on feedback from over 575,000 readers who evaluated their travel experiences in each country, considering factors such as culture, landscape, tourism services, and infrastructure. The renowned American travel magazine highlighted that this marks Vietnam's 6th recognition as a top destination in Asia, cementing its status as a travel hotspot for both domestic and international visitors. next in our world news. Tensions escalates in the Middle East. And later on, coral bleaching expands and now largest on record. Now moving on to our world news, Israel's recent military actions, coupled with retaliatory threats from other parties, are pushing the Middle East toward a full-scale conflict. Yesterday, on Thursday, Israel carried out airstrikes on a school sheltering evacuees in the Habalia camp in northern Gaza. According to Palestine's Wafa news agency, the airstrikes killed at least 28 Palestinians and injured 160 others, causing fires that destroyed the tents of those displaced. Israel, for its part, said the attack targeted tens of militants at the site. On the same day, Israeli military and security forces revealed they were investigating whether one of 3 individuals killed in the airstrikes in Gaza was Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. However, Israel provided no further details about the operation or its timing. Hamas has yet to comment on the incident. Meanwhile, Hezbollah announced that the fight against Israel has escalated. Iran also warned of a strong response if Israel attacks Iranian targets, either with Iran or the region. Iranian Revolutionary Guard commander Hossein Salami emphasized that Iran's missile strike against Israel in early October in retaliation for the killing of 2 commanders was only the smallest action Iran could take. The Houthis in Yemen stated on Thursday it will continue to attack ships on international routes. The statement came as retaliation after the U.S. military bombed a series of targets in Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. The strikes targeted alleged underground facilities used to store artillery and weapons used by the Houthis to target vessels in the region. This marks the first deployment of the U.S. Air Force B-2 Spirit long-range stealth bombers. Washington added that the strike aimed at neutralizing the Houthis' military capabilities. Houthi fighters in Yemen have carried out nearly 100 attacks on commercial and military ships crossing the Red Sea since November. China's gross domestic product, or GDP, grew 4.6% year-on-year in the third quarter of 2024. Data from the National Bureau of Statistics, or NBS, showed on Friday. In the first 9 months, the economy expanded 4.8% year-on-year. Notably, in the first 9 months, value-added service output rose by 4.7% and retail sales grew by 3.3%. Experts note that the economy grew slightly faster in the third quarter than Western economists had anticipated. However, the prolonged real estate slump and a slow consumer recovery urged policymakers to introduce stronger stimulus packages. The world's second-largest economy is intensifying efforts to stimulate the real estate market and boost consumer spending. The government is also working to curb the ongoing real estate downturn. Last week, China's finance minister pledged to ramp up debt issuance to revive growth. The global mass coral bleaching event is now the world's most extensive on record, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA. 77 of the world's coral reef areas have been subjected to bleaching level heat stress since February 2023. This would have severe implications for ocean health, subsistence fisheries, and tourism.
Triggered by heat stress in warm oceans, coral bleaching occurs when corals expel the colorful algae living in their tissues. Without these helpful algae, the corals become pale and are vulnerable to starvation and disease. A bleached coral is not dead, but ocean temperatures need to cool off for any hope of recovery. According to satellite data, a staggering 77% of the world's coral reef areas, from the Atlantic to the Pacific to the Indian Oceans, have so far been subjected to bleaching since February 2023.
This is the biggest coral bleaching event on record. We've never had a coral bleaching event this big before in terms of, almost 80% of all the world's reefs have had heat stress in the last, year and 8 months, essentially.
The NOAA Coral Reef Authority declared the global bleaching event in April 2024. The latest record bleaching adds to growing evidence that reefs have already passed a point of no return at just 1.3 Celsius degree of warming.
We could be looking at a scenario where, if what the ocean temperatures are now is the new normal, we could be essentially moving into a world where we're more or less in a state of chronic global bleaching. Again, I hope that doesn't happen, but based on ocean temperature patterns over the last year and a half, 2 years, I am fearful that could potentially be in the future.
Every year, reefs provide about $2.7 trillion in goods and services, according to the Global Coral Reef Monitoring Network. In the coming years, scientists will conduct underwater assessments of dead corals to tally up the severity of the event.
Up next, let's have a look at the weather forecast. And that is all that we have this hour on VTV News. To rewatch our program, you can visit our website or YouTube channel or download mobile app VTVgo for more. Thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.